r/ask Reddit. Brokers of Reddit, how crazy is it where you work on the trade floor RN? Every risk management employee at every money manager was busy checking short positions to see how vulnerable those positions are. I can't wait for margin call 2. Reddit Boogaloo. I don't work on the trading floor, but I'm an attorney who services a variety of financial institutions, including broker/dealers. This isn't the exciting, hilarious answer you want, but a lot of people had no idea it was even happening until the past 48 hours, and even now, it's mostly just a funny news article about some internet trolls making a bubble. This is a big deal to the shorting community, but to the other 99% of the financial world, nobody gives a shit, as much as young people on the internet like to imagine this as an epic David vs Goliath, Wall Street vs Main Street showdown for the history books. From a bird's eye view, it's actually just a brief dumpster fire where a couple hedge funds lost their shirts betting on one little small cap stock. It has happened before, and it will happen again. In 6 months, nobody will remember or care, except that, maybe, it will become more difficult for retail investors to trade options. And not because the greedy hedge fund oligarchs forced the SEC to crack down on retail investors, but rather because, when this is all said and done, there is going to be a black hole where most of these retail investors' brokerage accounts used to be, and the SEC and brokerage community will be lambasted for failing to protect unsophisticated investors from a bubble. I have been monitoring the WSB threads, and while the WSB veterans know that they're making a suicide charge for the memes, they have brought thousands of naive, new investors with them, who predominantly think that they're going to somehow come out on top, not realizing that they're cannon fodder for the more savvy WSB users to exit with gains. Redditors never seem to stop and think about why the WSB guys know so much about derivatives trading, or how they seem to know how to access and read from a Bloomberg terminal, or why there are so many users there that can seemingly drop tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on complicated meme plays. How do you think that WSB knew that GME was open to a short squeeze and a gamma squeeze play? WSB's power users are younger finance brothers. It's 30-something investment bankers and portfolio managers memeing with each other and cosplaying as autists. If you didn't know what a gamma squeeze was 48 hours ago, you are their exit strategy and the down payment on their next Porsche. My wife works for TDA and she says the phone calls are 700 deep with hours-long wait times. Probably because they stopped trades. I see it too. Yeah, I am so conflicted reading really strong opinions and conflicting points. Odd vibes in this thread. I would also like to jump in and say, as far as I'm aware, the trade floor craziness that is portrayed in the movies is really not a thing anymore. Most brokers just sit at computers and make phone calls and trade via computer etc. I know there's still a couple futures markets that have screaming, yelling etc, but that's all kind of a bygone era. Maybe I'm wrong, but as much as I'm sure people envision people yelling by GME 154, I don't even think that would be a thing anymore. It wasn't a thing 10 plus years ago when I visited one. I've been hearing lots of comments like how they've never seen this much attention on a single stock in decades, and that includes the dot-com bubble. Retail trade volume has dramatically increased this year with no fee trades, along with many retail investors stuck at home, but this is beyond insanity. IDK Tesla had a ton of attention during the pre and post S&P inclusion run. Keep in mind that this thread is used for propaganda. No idea which side is spreading this information, most likely both, but read every post, as it was written by a propaganda troll to manipulate the outcome. Yup, definitely getting that vibe. I'm no expert, but I know not to buy GameStop at $350. I've had 4 since November because I thought it would spike a bit with the release of the new Xbox and PS5, so I'm making off like a bandit right now. Risk manager at a major firm here. This kind of action is actually not so unusual. Things were a lot busier last March and the losses arising from customers blowing through their capital and leaving us to cover the rest are much lower. I think what's most noticeable this time is the feeling that no matter how correct the decision you make is, it's going to be seen by a certain segment of the public as motivated by corruption or greed. I can't speak for what's going on at any firm in particular, but I can tell you I couldn't care less about the financial health of the hedge funds who were responsible for this mess. If my firm takes an action to restrict certain types of trading, it's because we have an obligation to reduce exposure to highly volatile securities, not because we are taking orders from someone with skin in the game. This is what we're trained to do, and we are liable to the agencies that regulate us if we fail to properly risk manage the situation. If I were a risk manager, I might be inclined to show up on Reddit and downplay the situation in an effort to, manage risk, but that's just me. I was a trader, though in credit not equities, stocks. I do swag quant stuff now, but I have been chatting with a friend of mine who's a cash shares trader, so probably the closest thing to what you imagine when you say a broker. Apparently it's relatively chill, there's not much liquidity in these stocks, GME et al, and so the consumer retail trader, there's only one nowadays, is pretty stressed about it, but nothing absurd. The rest of the guys don't trade these names, so nothing really out of the norm for them. The 20th of March 20, i.e. when COVID blew us up, was much crazier in my memory, though I am on a different floor than equities where that stuff matters more. As others have pointed out, brokers don't really exist anymore. Trade floors do exist, but exchange floors, i.e. the floor of New York Stock Exchange, are mostly a TV studio. Happy to answer questions if people have them. Phone rep here. Absolutely crazy times. Hold times are through roof. We can't keep up with this pace. All I read was hold, palms facing up together. Hold IT boys, don't give in. It's a pyramid scheme for the top investors and WSB. They're gonna sell and leave their followers holding the bag. This whole thread is pushing an agenda of fear. The entire financial world does care about what is happening. Things will change after it, and the windfall of what is happening this month will affect Wall Street for years to come. Hedge funds have been overshorting stocks for a very long time. Would you say what happened when the housing market crash wasn't a big deal? These mother duckers refuse to recognize what is going down. Not a broker, just someone who has actively traded options for years. Definitely a pyramid scheme, and the options market on this was crazy. Even the options market on this one didn't add up. Yesterday when the stock was at $340, the March $500 call options were listed around $140. That means the stock would have to gain an additional $140 just to break even by late March. Anyone who didn't get in on the ground floor on this one are going to get crushed. Lots of people are going to get hurt and have nothing to show for it. Brokers don't work on trade floors. They work in support call chat centers and in normal dev environments. RN largely from home. It's not crazy at all. Just higher support volume than normal. People want me to invest their life savings in meme stocks like GMEAMCBB. I tell them it's very risky and only invest how much you would be willing to lose. Regardless, I have seen people bet their financial lives on GME. I pray to God everyone who does this gets out before the stock falls below what they bought it for. I don't think the meme stock bubble is dead, but I think it's the riskiest area. Millionaires will be born and millionaires will die from this. Personally, BB and AMC are probably your best bets right now. I'm not advising anyone to buy or sell based off this information. So yeah, bottom line, it's insane right now. Seconds can mean the difference in millions. And risk your money at your own discretion. Can you guys smell the arrogance coming from these brokers? Playing it off like it's no big deal. Bigger fish to fry. We don't give a shit. Nobody cares. This thing is a very big deal, just read the news. Several brokerage firms could go under. Many retail investors will walk away very rich. The main online brokerage app looks like it will die. The issue is being debated in Congress. Huge number of news stories. People hear it is nothing. Hedge fund manager. Wednesday was wild. Our PNL shot massively negative, flipped by noon to be massively positive and ended small down. We don't even trade GameStop, but the shock to the stock is definitely seeping into other positions. Overall, we are delighted that Point72 and possibly Citadel have lost money. We don't buy into the BS that the markets were manipulated in Citadel's favor, but RH not fulfilling its role as a broker is a huge red flag and indicates their precarious financial viability. Tomorrow will be fun, but we expect February to be the real party. I'm a floor broker on the New York Stock Exchange, and to be honest it is kind of work as usual, but it's definitely the biggest topic of conversation. We definitely all have to take greater care when handling orders in these super volatile stocks because of the violent moves they have been making. There is fewer of us down there and we all have to wear masks and follow the social distancing protocols, which makes some of the unique things about the floor a little weirder. Though it is sort of interesting to see the wider world take an interest in market microstructure to unprecedented extent. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.